Hi everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a very belated book review of No Filter and Other Lies by Crystal Maldonado. I was supposed to post this during the book tour hosted by Colored Pages, but some health stuff came up in my life that I was really stressed about and really spending a lot of time figuring out. So I did not have time to post my review on time, but I am here now. Thank you so much to Colored Pages and Holiday House Books for an arc of this book. I'm really so thankful and so grateful. I hate this era I'm in where I'm getting access to some wonderful books, and just when I think I have my life together and have time to read, it collapses again. So, that's just the struggles I'm living. Anyway, let's move on. So in this book, we follow Kat Sanchez. She is a photographer and she has a very curated Instagram account where she shares her photography. The only problem is she doesn't really have that many followers. And so she starts getting more and more consumed by this idea of how to get more followers and how to get more engagement. And so she kind of falls into a pit of catfishing. And so we follow her as she deals with the consequences of being social media obsessed and obsessed with getting recognition and praise for her work from strangers online. So I gave this book 3.5 stars. Overall, I enjoyed it and I thought it was really good. So one of the things I enjoyed about this was that I could kind of relate to one of the contentious relationships the protagonist had with one of the members of her friend group. So Kat and Louise have a lot of interactions where they clearly do not like each other and they do not have nice things to say about each other. And I could relate to that because even though it wasn't as intense as in this book, in my high school years, I also had this friend group where I didn't quite like all of them, but because I really liked some of them, I just kind of had to deal with the others. And so for me, seeing that represented in a book, I was like, wow, I did not know I needed that recognition that sometimes in high school you're friends with people just because they're there and not because you actually want to be friends with them. I was like, yes, this I can relate to. So I like that. Another of the things I really enjoyed about the story is that Kat is living with this tension where everyone thinks she lives with her parents and her brother, but in fact she lives with her grandparents. And so she's very scared of people finding this out. And so there's multiple layers and multiple things that Kat doesn't want other people to find out about. And that's part of why she finds social media and this idea of creating a fake persona so appealing, because she wants people to only know certain parts of her, and the fear of any of the truth coming out is very overwhelming to her. And so the tensions that her not living with her parents brought to the story were amazing. I really like that because I don't think we have enough stories that are similar to this where our protagonist is living with their grandparents, because we have had some stories where it's like a multi-generation household, but not really one where the parents of the child are not quite in the picture. Like her parents are somewhat involved in her life, but at the end of the day, the people who she really views as her parents and who raised her were her grandparents. So again, the tensions there, and also the tensions between the grandparents and the parents, just really did something phenomenal for this book. Another layer of this story that I both appreciated but was kind of part of the frustration I had with this was that Kat was allowed to be messy, especially when it comes to relationships. There are three, and I say that again, three potential love interests in this book, and you are seeing Kat interact with these characters in very, very messy ways, and at the same time in very wholesome and caring ways, because she does care about these three characters in very different ways. And the way that manifests is just, it really is so unique for each character. And so following that, I was invested, especially because it wasn't a love triangle or square or anything like that. She had distinctive periods where she was interacting with one of them in particular. And so because of that, I enjoyed it. The element that I wasn't the hugest fan of is that as a hopeless romantic, I wanted a particular type of ending. I won't spoil what it is, but I wanted a particular type of ending, and it was not given to me. It was not delivered. I understand why, because ultimately this is more a contemporary novel than it is a romance, versus Fat Chance Charlie Vega, which is the first book by this author. That one is more of a romance first and a contemporary novel second. And so because of my expectations based on Fat Chance Charlie Vega, I thought this was going to go in a certain direction that it did not go. And so my Puerto Rican little heart is a little bit, crushed. But really, that is just a matter of personal taste. And the reason I bring it up is specifically for any readers who have read the first book by this author to understand what they're getting into with this book. This is not a romance. This is a contemporary novel with a romance subplot. So just wanted to settle those expectations. And lastly, the other thing I thought this captured really well was the stress of growing up with social media already existing, already established. There's no way to escape it. So the realism of how Kat interacted with social media, how Kat was obsessed with social media and gaining attention through social media, I thought that was handled superbly. And in general, I just thought that Kat was a very realistic main character. I thought that the way she behaved and the decisions she made were representative of an actual teenager. Teenagers are messy. Teenagers don't always make the best decisions. Teenagers don't always say the right thing. And so I liked that Kat was allowed to be messy and not always be, perfect in this, because at the end of the day, that's the whole point, that you are human at the end of the day. Social media presents a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Curated image of yourself and your life. But again, at the end of the day, that's not real. And at the end of the day, like this book depicts, social media favors and caters to a particular audience more than others. Social media is dominated by white, skinny, and cisgender faces. And so it's inevitable that when you do not fit into those categories, you are not going to be as big as you could be, even if you're incredibly talented, even if you're always putting 100% of yourself into the posts that you're making on social media. So again, just the realism here was one of the major strengths of this novel. So yeah, those are all my thoughts on No Filter and Other Lies. I am so excited to continue reading books by Crystal Maldonado. So even though I loved Fat Chance Charlie Vega and this one wasn't quite as big of a love for me, I just really want to continue reading the books by this author because I thoroughly appreciate the representation of different experiences of being Puerto Rican and growing up in the United States. Crystal Maldonado just delivers. She just delivers on that front again and again. And also, she delivers on nuanced discussions of what it's like living in a fat body in this world. Like, she just does that so amazingly and uniquely, because the challenges that Kat has are very different from the ones that Charlie has in Fat Chance Charlie Vega. So again, just quality content. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, I will have the links to that down below in the description. You can also find down there other ways to support this channel and other ways to engage with me. I'm the co-host of 2 book clubs. One is a horror book club and one is a multi-genre book club. So if you want to talk things books with me, you can go ahead and join those. But for now, I'll see you next time.